everybody, welcome to my channel. This is a general reading for the week beginning the 13th of October to the 20th of October. Let's see what the energies have, what's guiding us through the cards for this week. Show us clearly for our highest good and for our best movements forward. Okay, the cards were really well shuffled before I started, so let's see. So we're starting out with the King of Pentacles, and I'm getting quite a warm energy from the beginning of the week. Okay. So with the King of Pentacles, it's a really comfortable place that you are feeling within yourself. You feel quite grounded and just really relaxed in your sense of yourself and in your just in a lot of the aspects of your life. You're starting to feel like things are beginning to fall into place, and you even that includes it includes all of the sort of elements. So within your mind, you're feeling more comfortable, you're feeling a lot more inspired and open to new things coming in. There may be a little bit of emotional, just a reflective place that you find yourself in, kind of in that mix. So the energies here are really, you've got earth and air and then water energies, and so really what it is that you're feeling is quite centered, but also re-evaluating and contemplating the different kinds of options that you have. So you might have had one thing that lights up for you, that feels really strong, but there is this need to also really reflect and take a little bit of time to see the different kind of options that you can take, basically, and the different ways that you might like to feel. It's really important to go with your feelings as well as to go with the practical elements, and also to trust in your intuition and the guidance or the idea that's lighting you up. So there's a bit of evaluation and also trusting in what's coming in, not being afraid of perhaps a new way of thinking about things. And Tuesday really brings you into grounding all of that. So there's a real sense of, okay, there is something here that's going to support me to move forward. So this is quite a tangible thing. It's about knowing that you've got the finances. It's about looking at all of the things that need to line up. So sometimes that's things lining up in your bank account. Sometimes that's things lining up with your financial advisor. There's a lot around being clearer around what it is that what it is that you can give and also receive, and that sets you in a much clearer direction, and it really opens you up in your heart to to be able to follow what it is that feels joyous to you. And this opening up, I get this sense that there's a couple of steps forward, and then almost like, so as you're growing and opening up, you're opening up so much that with that comes this other underlying kind of layer of perhaps it's like a past fear, things that may have controlled you in the past. When things become really, good in our world, and you start to see the things coming together that you've always wanted to come together, and you feel this lightness of spirit, and you get a sense that your dreams and wishes are coming true, sometimes that leads to also a kind of a wildness that, it's like you want to rein things in. Like in the past, you might have controlled situations very heavily, and this is sort of out of that fear mentality. It's out of that need for survival, and maybe you in the past you haven't felt like the resources were always there. You haven't always felt like you've had the money or the job that you wanted, and then so these things were tough. And so when things actually really just come together, which I see that you'll get a really good sense of that by Tuesday, it's almost like, don't squash it. Don't bring in the past. Don't bring in the really unreasonable, fears or the reactions to other people's fears. This I see as very much like follow your joy and stick in that, and do as much practical things that you can, and also stay away from anybody who is dragging you down, anybody who might be really really sort of lightly manipulating you. So what I'm saying is that it's not that they are maybe intentional, but there is an element of other person around who's kind of can be fearful, and that energy can be really wild and can spread out across you. But I don't think it's going to get to you this week. I think particularly with this sun card here, there's so much potential for you to step into your light and step into your joy and just feel completely fulfilled. So don't let the energies of uncertainty or the way you had to respond in the past, do not let them take over. And don't let any of that controlling behavior, either if it's coming from yourself and you're used to controlling situations and controlling whether it's going to be good enough or it's not going to be good enough, or just all those aspects, I think it's really time for you to just really naturally realize that type of way of living, it's not supporting you anymore. You don't need it. And also the other people who may be exhibiting that kind of level of control, or feeling uncertain because it's not completely grounded yet, you can step away from that energy also, so that you don't get reactive or dragged into and basically another person's fears and programming. By Wednesday, there is a real much more gentle approach to the fears that might have been sort of presenting themselves. So there's a real, again, coming back to yourself and kind of seeing the long game. So seeing the puppy here and the grown-up man and the grown-up dog. It's time to take care of your inner self, and you can really do that by acknowledging that you're in this for the long haul, as in your connection to being committed and being your best friend and being caring to yourself in this journey. It's what it's about. It's that connecting back to all the parts of yourself, all the parts that you're trying to bring in of yourself in the future. So there's all these different parts that are coming together. Your younger self, yourself now, but also your future self. And I think that's exciting in many ways. There's a real sense of passionate energy about this week in general. There's a real underlying kind of an ebbing of, you know, your inner spark, your magic, your passion, what makes you joyful, what lights you up, what fires you up, what sets you off to take the actions to create the life that you want to create. And with that, it's also about balancing things out, about, you know, perhaps not really moving forward without, you know, having some contemplation time, without thinking about what it is that you have already. And when you allow that contemplation time without just taking off and, you know, taking I guess even escape kind of routes, so there's a sense that, you know, perhaps part of something that you might be releasing this week is a very healing part of yourself that acknowledges that there can be escapism, there can be a desire to escape from these, you know, other aspects of yourself that are letting go. And instead of really sitting with them and facing them and just acknowledging that they're there, you're really quite aware of how in the past you may have used certain things to escape. So whatever that is for you, that's, you know, hiding you from you. And I think that you get really clear on how you've been doing that. It's really time to create the life that you feel lit up by. It's not about living from the past or from the ways that you have in the past. Is very much a movement towards creating this new connected web of experiences. And a lot of pieces and things are connecting for you now, particularly in a very spiritual and gentle way. So this is I see this as like through meditation, and there's this like almost a spontaneous opening of your third eye. Your experience of life is really, really, really adapting. It's really shifting. And you're on board with that. You're on board with it because you are moving past the fears of the past. And you've done that work. You're not getting caught up in that again. And you're willing to, you know, see it through this time. You're willing to allow your strength and determination and your courage and, you know, knowing which piece of, you know, which piece to put down next. So if life's a game and you're on this big chessboard, you know quite clearly by Thursday, Friday, there's a sense of really strong determination. And it's guided. It's not all necessarily your own maneuvers. I think you know, we can often think that we're in control of every single piece, and this week's a lot about releasing control. So the more you can be loose and alive with the, you know, the intuitive guidance, the spirit, you know, the fact that we aren't totally in control of this game of life. We can try and we can play with the pieces of, you know, the chessboard. We can move things around, and that's a great quality to have. And it also does lead to a lot of, you know, freedom and success. So there's parts of you that realizes that you're in control, and that's great. So you're in control of what you can be. And you're also acknowledging that there's other forces at fate that are at stake. So other things, you know, within the unseen world, within the spirit, and within your wiser and higher self that knows that no matter what you do, you will always be guided towards what you strive for, that highest perspective that you have. So keep bringing that high level perspective of your your values, what do you love, what brings you joy, how are you fulfilled, and a strong sense of knowledge of how you are fulfilled is really it's available for you right now. Everything that you've created in the past is now beginning to lift off. You're beginning to see how all of the magic that you've invested in yourself, that really big, strong, firm coming home to self, it's like it starts to pay off. It really starts to lift you up. It's prosperous. It's you becoming more prosperous as you become more and more comfortable and seated in yourself. You take the actions, you know how to be solidly moving forward, and then you have a lightness of being as you see the results of everything that you've grown through, everything that you've been in the soup of in the past, just starts to actually create a lot of abundance and very fertile energy that you start to sit in. You're laying down some really strong, fertile energies for success for yourself. This end of the week is a feeling of, okay, there's an acknowledgement, and there's an acknowledgement of how much you've just come out of yourself, how much you have, you know, it's like a huge big green light from the universe. The universe is really kind of almost like I can feel and hear the clapping of the spirits. They're all clapping for you as you step out and you lean back into all of your joy, and you don't let that anything from the past drag you back. And that's when you really get the energy and momentum. By the weekend, your knowledge of what you want to move towards, it just is crystal clear. There's a clear pathway, and you don't really hesitate. There's no hesitation. There's no hesitation here with this person. They're moving towards their target. They can see freedom in their, on the horizon, and there is really a clear way of moving forward, and you'll feel it and you'll really move with that. And that really, it leads you to this embodied place where, you've managed to not be totally in control. You've managed to put forward what you can when you can. You've managed to sort out the material aspects, but be completely guided by the spiritual aspects and the values that you hold true, that, you've weeded them out, and you also have just done so much soul searching, and that it all just lights up for you now. The fact that you wanted to step into certain things but they haven't happened in the past, now I can see a lot of things, particularly by the weekend. Don't get too caught up in the I don't know, I'm hearing like the fine print, like don't get too caught up in some particular details. Just continue to trust in your intuition, and in the ways that your path is showing you is the way forward. It's okay to continue to balance out, okay, I'm going to read this information because that's really important about the next step that I'm taking, but I'm also going to be following my inspiration and listening to my intuition, and taking time and space to connect all of those pieces together. And also just another thing to be mindful of is just that being gentle with yourself. So in the week, by the weekend, there is a relaxation, there is a gathering of this really raw, strong part of yourself that you've always known was there, and you're almost surprised by how much energy and confidence that you have in the way that you're carving out your life, the way that you're understanding what it means to give and take. And that is with all elements of your life. So this is in relationships, giving and taking in relationship, staying away from what's not yours, standing clear in a gentleness and a kindness of spirit and heart, but not shying away from your wild, really strong masculine self as well, that knows when to take action and when to step back, and also just when to recognize that certain things are part of the past and you don't need to bring it forward with you anymore. So that's what we have for the week ahead. I'm just going to pull one more card from the Animal Wisdom deck. Oh, this one wants to come out, so we'll take that. We have the Bee Spirit, and the sweet results await. So this is really exactly what I was getting from on Tuesday, is with the Sun card here, and we've also got the Strength card. I just think these are all pointing to this brightness in your future and a real it's a coming together of so many aspects that you've been working on probably for years, and there is this gentle acceptance of the victory that you are now having in your life. So I might just read the Bee Spirit's wisdom from the card, from the book. It says, Bee Spirit's message is that sweet rewards are on their way if you're willing to get your ego out of the way and immerse yourself in the connected energy of all things. Bee Spirit knows not to let a sense of being a separate self get in the way of a good thing. Spirit is always producing honey. Miracles and magic are everywhere. When you connect with the great hive, you are vibrating and buzzing in exquisite harmony with all. Bee Spirit asks that your focus beyond connectivity, your body, heart, soul, and psyche experience total interconnectedness and a true integration when you self-forget, when you remember that you are part of a greater unified consciousness. Moving from separation into connection, from self-centered limitation to spirit-centered infinite possibility and potential, you become busy as a bee, enjoying the gifts of Bee Spirit, fully in alignment with your highest expression of yourself. Your heart opens and creativity rushes through you, seemingly without effort, as you experience that nothing feels like work. That feels amazing. Industriousness is driven by enthusiasm and inner motivation, and time seems to fly by quickly as the hive supports you in the making of honey. Do you feel the presence of your helpers in the hidden realms adding their energy to your creations? Magical results are taking form and will be sweeter than you expect. This is amazing. So, sweet results await. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you.